Hello, lovely friend. I am Dr. Mary Barson.
And I'm Dr. Lucy Burns.
We are doctors
and weight management and metabolic health experts.
And this is the Real Health and Weight Loss Podcast. Hello, lovely people. Dr. Mary here. And welcome to this episode of the Real Health and Weight Loss Podcast, where I'm joined by my beautiful colleague, Dr. Lucy. Hello, lovely human. How are you?
Hi, Maz. I am well. I'm well because, again, I've done this a few times, but when I have a good night's sleep, it's like whatever was bothering me suddenly doesn't seem quite so big. So honestly, sleep is crucial to feeling well. So yes, I'm good.
It's like magic, isn't it? Sleep is very important for our metabolic health, as is what we are talking about today. So today we're talking about something that is very close to my biochemistry nerd heart, and that is movement, and specifically the effect that movement can have on our brain and our metabolic health. We've touched on this before, but today we're going to talk about how we can make this really practical and helpful. So, before everybody switches off and no, I promise this is not another lecture just telling you to exercise more. Please stay with us because that's not what this episode is about.
Absolutely. Because honestly, we all know, all of us, we're all busy, tired, maybe we've got stress, pain, and, sometimes it can feel like, oh God, another job that we're failing at. So we want to make sure that people are really clear that if you're not nailing your exercise gym bro goals, you're not a failure, you're just a human. We know that life's busy, brains are tricky. So we want this conversation to really be easy to listen to and actually give you some doable, practical strategies.
That's right. You don't have to have the gym program of a fitness influencer to be able to be healthy and protect your brain. So you came up with this concept yesterday, Lucy, and I loved it. So we could make it into this podcast today. So what we're going to talk about is called an exercise salad. It's not in a cute over-the-top way. It's just this simple idea that our brains and bodies do best when we have different types of movement available to us. So we're not just only walking. We're not just only strength training. We're not just only stretching, but we're doing a mix. And importantly, it doesn't have to be perfect and it doesn't have to be a lot. It doesn't have to be intense, but it does need to happen to at least an extent to work. Is if you don't move, you don't get the benefits of movement. And so you need to be able to make it realistic for you.
Absolutely. And I think it's really important to, just highlight that in the world of social media algorithms, what happens is you click on something and the algorithm then shows you more of the same thing. So it really kind of diverts you down a little funnel. And so there are people out there. I've seen posts where people are telling people that walking is no good for them. They need to do strength training. They need to lift heavy. Or that Pilates is useless. You have to lift weights. Or that swimming is no good. You have to do weight-bearing exercise. Honestly, that's all rubbish. Every type of exercise has a benefit. And the idea of an exercise salad is you have little bits of all of them to create the perfect, delicious movement salad.
That is just beautiful for your brain health as well as metabolic health. That's right. You don't have to just only eat greens or only eat red onions. You can have a nice mix. So I think it'd be good to touch on why movement matters, especially for our brain health and our metabolic health. So we talked a few weeks ago when we were talking about dementia that dementia rates are rising worldwide. And at the same time, we're getting more and more metabolic health problems, more and more insulin resistance, more and more type 2 diabetes, fatty liver, high blood pressure. And metabolic health and brain health are intimately connected. And we know that poor metabolic health increases the risk of dementia later in life, a whole lot of really important reasons. And we also know that our lifestyle, the things that we do each day and making positive changes in the things that we do each day can improve our metabolic risk and reduce that risk of getting dementia and getting poor brain health as we age.
Absolutely. As you mentioned earlier, there was an article on cycling, and it was my hubby that actually showed me this because he is a keen cyclist. So he was, of course, very happy to read this article that showed, I think it was a 24% decrease in the risk of or the rates of dementia for people who cycle. So, immediately my brain goes, oh, well, then everyone should be cycling and, we should all be cycling and, be like the Dutch, they cycle everywhere. And then, of course, you realize, well, some people hate cycling. Not everyone has a bike. Some people live on, busy roads. For some people, cycling is not that easy. So, again, it's not about you must do this, but it's an idea that some things are really helpful. And my hubby and I were talking about why cycling would be helpful. I go, well, why is cycling so helpful? And I guess he pointed out, that, well, it's not just the movement, and we're going to talk a little bit about that, but the idea of when you're cycling, you're also having to concentrate on, what's around you. So there's quite a bit of mindfulness that goes on. You have to avoid hitting potholes, hitting sticks. You have to balance. And often you do counter-regulatory balancing, like when you're turning corners. And so there's all these other kind of benefits that happen just with cycling that you're not specifically even thinking about. And so I guess that's why those sorts of movements can be, or types of activities can be great. But again, it also doesn't mean you have to cycle to prevent dementia. You can get these sorts of benefits from doing other types, whatever suits you. So it's not just, we're not going to become one-trick cycling ponies by any stretch.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the other thing that I want to hear is, that I want to just draw attention to is the idea of, you have to do 150 minutes of moderate intensity exercise a week. And again, when my brain hears 150 minutes, it sounds like a lot. Like it does sound like a lot, doesn't it, when we go 150 minutes? However, if you break it down over 7 days, that works out to be 22.5 minutes a day. And you don't have to do it every day. It's over a week, so you could have a day off. But when we break it down to that point, it's not that hard, 22.5 minutes a day. And if we then break it into the hours that we're awake, that's 16 hours a day, if you were to sleep 8 hours, that means that you need to do about 90 seconds every hour.
Does sound doable when you talk about it like that. But
yes.
I think there is also this all or nothing trap that people can get stuck in. They're like, if you're 22.5 minutes a day, yep, that's doable. But you get to the end of your Thursday and you've done nothing and it's 10 o'clock at night and you can't be bothered doing it right now. People can fall in this like, oh, well, I haven't done it. No, well, I just can't do it, obviously, and can just then maybe not do anything on Friday or Saturday or Sunday. And that all or nothing thinking is a real trap. Like it's a trap that can just keep us so stuck. So I just love the idea of all or something. Give yourself permission to do a little bit less. Although the recommendations are that 150 minutes of moderate exercise plus your strength training, but you still get benefits from small amounts. We mentioned a while ago, the studies looking at doing even just 5 minutes of movement can help improve your deep sleep quality at night, which has huge flow-on effects to every aspect of your health. So all or something. If it gets to 10 o'clock at night and you still haven't done anything, you could literally do 5 minutes and still reap some benefits. You could do 1 minute and reap some benefits. Even 30 seconds would give you the benefits of just psychologically having done something, doing something quite small, and allow yourself to celebrate that so that you can still get the benefits of movement even when you shrink it right down. Because we don't need to be perfect to see the benefits of movement. Any kind of movement is helpful, and any kind of movement is going to help improve all the different aspects of your health that are going to help improve that metabolic health and lower your risk of dementia. And if we can just do something, then that is infinity times better than nothing.
Oh, absolutely. And, you can either do it as a formal thing like we've, mentioned, or you just do it as exercise snacks throughout the day. Every little thing that you do is helpful, and it all it's like putting money in the exercise bank. You might make a big deposit one day and then the other day you might just put 20 cents in. So the key is that it all adds up. So I think that's a really helpful way to look at it rather than thinking, oh my God, I haven't done anything. The chances are you've done something, but you can just, I guess, leverage that a little bit. So even things like if you decide to, do people still walk to their letterboxes? Do people still get mail? I guess they do.
My letterbox is nearly a kilometre away.
I know. Let's say the general person whose letterbox might be 20 metres down out from their front door. If you can walk to that. So you can either amble or you could march there. So the marching is going to be a bit better. Then as you're marching back, you could have, there could be a step. You might have 2 steps, say, into your house. Well, you could just walk up and down those steps a couple of times. And so all of a sudden you've turned a little job, which maybe you previously didn't walk to the letterbox. You just opened the box as you drove past it. But you've turned something fairly easy into something that's just a little bit more.
Yes. And this is like the idea of this exercise salad. You've just got all your little tools, your little exercise, little things that you do, and you can sort of pepper them throughout the day. I like the idea of having a few different tools in your exercise toolbox, or a few different types of exercise within your exercise salad.
Yes, absolutely. And this is the key. It really is not about one being better than the other. It's not about, you must do strength training, don't bother with Pilates. Like, that's garbage. Or you must do impact work, don't bother with swimming. Every single exercise has some benefit of some sort. And what we want to do is combine as many as we can without being ridiculous. Okay, you don't all need to become CrossFit trainers or anything, but as many different types as we can throughout, maybe the week or even the month. Like, it might feel a bit hard to do it every week because every single type will have some benefits.
Absolutely.
I guess there's a couple of ways to think about movement and, maybe trying to just tick off one of these each week. So we've got, strength. We talk a lot about strength training because building muscle, it's your metabolic organ. We can talk about aerobic capacity, doing some sort of, huff and puff exercise. We can talk about mobility and flexibility. So, if you try and hit those every week, at least once, then you're doing really well.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just chat a bit more about how you might fit each of these into your life. So let's talk about, again, the strength training. And I know, again, there's a lot of lift heavy out there. You've got to lift heavy, all that stuff. But it's not about becoming a bodybuilder. You don't need to have big muscles. You don't need to have, abs, clearly. But it's really about the idea of functional movement. So we want people to be able to get up out of a chair without using your hands, for example. You need to be able to carry your shopping in and out of the car. If you've got grandchildren, lift them up. If you've got a dog, be able to put it into the car if the dog can't jump up. If you're, on the floor because you're playing with grandchildren, or you've dropped something, or you're simply on the floor because you're doing your stretching, then we want you to be able to get up off the floor. And even more importantly, if you were to have a tumble and fall over, well, you need to be able to get up. So that's a lot of why we say to people, you need to be building muscle for functional purposes.
And from a biochemical point of view, muscle is incredibly important. It acts like a sponge for the glucose in our body. It's our main metabolic real estate in our body. And when you work your muscles, even with simple things like getting up and out of your chair a few times without using your hands, or just doing a few gentle little squats, or going up and down the stairs, your insulin sensitivity in your body improves. So this helps reduce insulin resistance. It lowers your risk of the type 2 diabetes, metabolic syndrome, dementia, and all the horrible things that go with it. And a little bit goes a long way. And a lot of it can just be about sort of activating and waking up your muscles. Because when we sit for long periods of time, they really do get quite inactive. Just stand up, tap your toes a few times, tap them to the left, tap them to the right, lift your knees up and down, march on the spot. These things actually do make a tangible metabolic difference if we can fit them into our life with some regularity.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, the wonderful thing is, we've spoken about many times, my favorite word, pleiotropic, which means one activity, multiple effects. technically related to genes, but we're talking about it in lifestyle things. Resistance training isn't just about, metabolic, soaking up your glucose. It's not just about functional health. It's also about your brain. And at the end of the day, if, feel like no hoof, no horse, no brain, no human, we really value as humans our brains and what they can do for us. So we know that when people move their muscles, it improves critical thinking skills like planning, like attention. It's pretty amazing that you can just, be in your chair, you can do 10, I don't actually know what the word is, but it's like if you're in your chair and you stand up and then you sit back down again.
They have the amazing name of sit to stands. Yep.
Excellent.
That's what my physio calls them, a sit to stand. Yeah, I take my mum to the physio. It's like, how many sit to stands can you do in 30 seconds? Go. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Yep. So you can do those, and you're not only helping your glutes, your hammies and your quads and preventing or helping your balance and preventing falls, you're also helping your beautiful brain. So yay.
Yeah. Wall push-ups are one of my favourites. I don't quite have the strength to do, many push-ups, many proper push-ups. Knee push-ups, yes. Push-ups on my feet, struggle. But wall push-ups are great. They're so accessible for everyone. And that just means put your hands on the wall, your feet a little back, you bend and straighten your arms, and you're working your back, you're improving your posture, you're doing a bit of core, you're doing some arms, and it's really easy. You could do it in a ball gown and high heels if you needed to, but you could definitely do it in your slippers and pajamas. You could definitely do it in your work clothes. All you need is a wall. Maybe no one watching you might be good as well, but even then you could have people watch you while you do your wall push-ups. It wouldn't be that bad.
Yep, absolutely. Wall, kitchen bench, anything that is helpful. Beautiful. So that's kind of, the strength without being, a strong man kind of way of adding some movement into your week. Then we've got the aerobic, or what we like to call the huff and puff. So it is helpful to be able to huff and puff. It's great for our cardiovascular system. It's great for our heart. So things that count as huff and puff include obviously walking, if you're walking at a brisk pace, not ambling, cycling, swimming, even dancing, obviously running. It's enough that gets your heart rate up. And a lovely kind of way to work it out if you're not obsessed with Fitbit watches and tracking and everything is if you can talk, but you couldn't sing.
Yeah.
That's still huff and puff. That's still enough.
Yes, absolutely. And physiologically, this huff and puff movement is really good for our health and our brain health. It helps improve our cholesterol profile, particularly helps increase the benign and beneficial lipoprotein particles, the HDL increases with exercise. It improves how well our blood vessels can function. It can also increase their size and number, increases blood flow throughout our body, and probably also increases blood flow to our brain, which helps support our brain cells. So over time, it's shown that people who have that regular physical activity, that regular huff and puff, particularly in midlife and later life, have significantly lower rates of dementia, even up to 40%. It's like for people who are regularly active, and a little bit goes a long way.
Absolutely. And it's not, dementia prevention is obviously one thing. Sometimes our brain will go, oh yeah, I'll sort that out tomorrow. What we also know is that huff and puff is very good for mental health, and that mental health improvement isn't in 10 or 20 years' time. It's that day. So it can make you feel better that day. And for me, that is often one of the biggest drivers when I'm, my brain's kind of going, oh, really? Can we just lie on the couch? Really? Do we have to go out? I go, yeah, because you will feel better. Like mentally, you will feel better immediately. As soon as you finish, you hop out of in my case, the pool, you come back home from the gym or come back from your walk, and the minute you just feel amazing. So mentally, it's good. So when we're talking about brain, we're often talking about things like dementia and cognition, but mood is also controlled, obviously, by your brain.
That's right. Those beautiful myokines are released by your muscles, and they help improve mood. And studies show that regular movement, even just short bursts of walking, can be as effective for mild and moderate depression as antidepressant medications. So it is amazing. Like, movement is quite literally a medicine.
Indeed. Indeed. And in fact, there is, and we'll finish off with the concept of an exercise prescription. But I guess the third little arm of our exercise salad, the third leaf, is around mobility and balance. Again, super important. And for a lot of us, particularly those who sit a lot, you do lose your proprioception, which is a fancy name. So proprioception is the idea that your brain knows where your body part is without looking at it. And it's really helpful in, particularly if you have a little stumble, that your body knows how to automatically correct itself without you having to intentionally think. So improving movement and balance is great for proprioception. We know that things like injuries, the rehab is part of improving their proprioception. But there's lots of things that, again, you can do. You don't have to be off at a gym doing this. You can do something like stand on one leg when you're at the kitchen bench, waiting for the kettle to boil. You can swap legs when you're brushing your teeth. So you might stand on one leg for the first 30 seconds and then you swap legs for the next 30 seconds. You might do things like stretching. So here's a little thing. I was thinking about this the other day as I was watching my little dog. Every time she gets up, she's only a puppy still. Every time she gets up, she stretches. She does this big stretch, stretches out her legs. She stretches out her back. She does the downward dog. Humans, we just get up and walk.
I'm like, a bit stiff. Oh, well, just keep going. Yep.
Yeah, or not even that. You just get up and go. Whereas, they're after any prolonged sitting or lying, a dog or a cat, you watch, they will get up and they will stretch.
That's right. I love that. That's what we need to do. So I'm going to get up and stretch, maybe even do a downward dog after we finish recording this episode. That's a very good thing to do.
Indeed. So, Maz, here's the thing. A lot of people go, yeah, okay, you haven't told me anything. I know what to do. But, how do I actually do it? Especially when my brain goes, I'm so tired. What are your top tips for that?
Okay, so give yourself permission to do something small and then celebrate it. So we can really just make it tiny, teeny tiny, especially to begin with. But the important thing is if you do that teeny tiny thing, you just need to take a moment and just think, go me. Well done. I've done that. So some really good teeny tiny examples, like to making it doable when you're struggling, I think is make it small. So pair it to something that's already happening and make it small. When do you flick the kettle on in the morning to make your cup of tea or your coffee? While the kettle is boiling, do some calf raises, do some wall push-ups, find a chair, do some sit to stands, do some movement just while in that 2 minutes while the kettle's boiling. When you're on the phone to someone, instead of sitting down, could you just get up and walk around? Could you balance on one leg while you're on the phone to someone? Do something. Could you walk to your letterbox? I do love that one. Can you park a few blocks away and walk? Can you take the stairs if you work in a place that's stairs rather than the lift? Little moments like this would be really good. Every time you switch tasks, if you're sitting at your desk, just do 4 to 5 sit to stands. Just bring it in and then do it. None of these require special clothes or equipment. They're small, they're practical. But the key thing is that they are not nothing. So they really do add up over time. So you want to do them and also take a moment to celebrate the fact that you've done them. It doesn't have to be a big song and dance. It can be. Singing and dancing is good exercise. You don't need to post about it on social media, but you can if you want to. But even just mentally take a moment and go, I did it. And let that dopamine flow through your brain because our brain loves that and it's going to want it again. So you're going to be more motivated to do your calf raises the next time you boil the kettle. And then that is how our brain learns from momentum. It learns from success and things can start to build.
Yeah, absolutely. I reckon a great sit to stand is when you're on the toilet.
Hey.
So, we all go to the toilet.
And no one is watching you, probably, apart from your toddler. Yep.
Yeah, if you're a woman, you're usually sitting down.
That's right.
So every time you finish, you can do, even 5 sit to stands. Suddenly, by the end of the day, you've done 30 sit-to-stands, give or take, without even trying. And even if your brain goes, oh, well, what's the point? All of these all add up, which mean if you're adverse to formal exercise or going to the gym, you can say to yourself, I don't have to go to the gym because I've done this. I don't have to go to a class because I've done my calf raises while boiling the kettle. I don't have to put on my aerobics exercise gear because I've just done all my stretching throughout the day. So again, all about working with your brain and helping it to make the decisions that are going to be in your best interest.
Yes. Small changes add up. Small changes, small little course corrections over time can completely change the direction of your health ship, from going and crashing into an iceberg to landing in a beautiful, tropical island. So every small little thing that you do over time can have dramatic effects on where your health actually ends up.
Absolutely. And so I thought we'd just finish off with the concept of an exercise prescription. Now, the great news is you can write your own script here because you are the boss of you. But writing it out is helpful to be, have a little, just make that intention, that idea that you think, oh, yeah, that's a good idea. And then, of course, you forget all about it. Once it's written down, it's much more front of mind. It doesn't have to be perfect, and you can deviate somewhat a bit, but have it written down so then you've got an idea. So an example might be that you're going, all right, what strength things am I going to do? Oh, I'm going to do the sit to stand off the toilet. That sounds good. I can do that. Yes. Excellent. What's my small huff and puff? Well, I am going to take the dog for a walk because honestly, we both benefit when we go for a walk with the dog. Great. Good. All right. I'm going to do that 3 times a week. And we're just going to walk around the block, which will be, 7 minutes. Perfect. Then we go, all right, what about mobility? Oh, well, that's easy. I'm just going to brush my teeth on one leg. I'm going to stand up, brush my teeth. If you're a menopausal woman, you might stick your estrogel on at the same time and go, yay, good. I've done all of those things. Perfect.
Yes. And look, if you miss a day here or there, and you might, because you're human, because life can be a lot, that does not mean you've failed. So don't let your brain fall into that pit of all or nothing despair. Instead, really guard against that. If you miss a day, if you're not perfect, heaven forbid, you just pick it up again. Pick it up again the next day. Pick it up again. And remember that every little bit that you do is worth doing. Every bit counts. And celebrate every little bit and just keep going.
Absolutely. And that's the way we look after our beautiful brains and our beautiful bodies in an environment that we've, as humans, set up for ourselves now, which just really makes movement we have to be very intentional about it because it's pretty easy to not move for very much of the day. So becoming intentional is key. And hopefully this little exercise salad is a step forward for you in the right direction. All right, lovely ones. Have a fabulous week. Dr. Mary and I will be back next week with some more chit-chat on the Real Health and Weight Loss podcast.
Bye now.
The information shared on the Real Health and Weight Loss podcast, including show notes and links, provides general information only. It is not a substitute, nor is it intended to provide individualized medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment, nor can it be construed as such. Please consult your doctor for any medical concerns.